All right, welcome back, my friends. It is time for another Motorweek Retro Review reaction. This week it is the 2004 Subaru Baja Turbo. Now, 2004 is not really as old as I normally go, but I think I'm going to start dabbling in these 2000s a little bit more because there's some pretty interesting models, and we have to remember this is nearly 20 years ago. So this car, I don't know much about it. I'll be honest with you. I remember it came out. I remember being pretty excited. It was the re-release of the Brat, right? And I kind of think it's a cool concept. You know, some people say the Maverick and the Santa Cruz are just the newest version of this. I don't quite agree. More like an El Camino than anything else, but with 4 doors. So I'm pretty excited. I've seen these. I may have sat in one at one point, but I really don't have a lot of personal experience with them. I've certainly never ridden in one because they were extremely rare, and I can probably count the number of them I've ever seen on one hand. So let's take a look at it and see what Motorweek said about it when it was brand new.
Motorweek is made possible by Lucas Oil, TireRack.com, and RockAuto.com.
If there's one word that describes the Subaru Baja, it has to be fun. This clever little multi-use crew cab is as entertaining as it is practical. But you know, some folks always want more, and what they usually want more of in the Baja is power, which Subaru now supplies in the new 2004 Baja Turbo. Fun and fast. Sounds like a natural combination to us. So Subaru kicked it up a notch, and bam! The result is the 2004 Baja Turbo. A meatier version of their latest Bratmobile, the Turbo also stands a little taller this year. As the third model of Subaru's all-wheel drive Baja crossover, the Turbo tops out a range that includes the original Baja and the value-oriented Baja Sport. And as they say, third time's a charm. But just
so I mean, they just didn't give me a good place to break there. Let's talk about it. Okay, I mean, I like quirky cars, so I remember when this came out, and I remember being pretty excited about it. Now, not so much. This right now ranks as something I would very much like to have some time to drive and experience on a day-by-day basis. I have a relatively high opinion of Subaru, their ergonomics, their customer care, their reliability overall. This is just not an exciting vehicle. I mean, from the front, it looks like any Subaru sedan, and in fact, when they were showing the driving video there, you know, when you couldn't see the back of it, it's just an Outback. So the biggest thing here is that, you know, if you're trying to do something like this, a unibody-based trucklet, are you coming from a heavier duty platform down, or are you taking a car and stretching it up? I don't really know enough about Subaru and how they develop their cars to know how rugged really is an Outback. Is it really just a station wagon that's made a little beefier? But I don't have a lot of respect for this from really anything. I don't know what I'm sure they'll talk about what the loading is, but overall, it's one of those situations where it feels like you're getting the worst of every world. You don't really have a bed. You probably can't carry much weight, and you're not getting all the functionality of having an Outback station wagon. Style-wise, it's okay. I mean, Subaru's design language has never been very exciting. This is, I think the best thing I can think of is it's innocuous. It's just okay. It's not offensive. It's not overly boring to the point that you yawn, but it really doesn't stand out. It doesn't look upscale. It doesn't look really like anything, if I'm being honest. I do like that the car they're showing right here, the lower parts of the door and everything else, does not have that thick gray cladding. I know they do that to make it look rugged, but I just feel mid-90s Pontiac when I see that. Let's see what they say.
just what makes this Baja so charming. Well, the Baja does get a boost in ground clearance up to 8.4 inches compared to last year's 7.3. But it's what's bursting under the hood that sends Subaru's fun junkies over the dunes. It's turbo power from a 2.5-liter twin-cam flat 4 that is a detuned version of the boxer used in the hot Impreza WRX STI. It adds 45 ponies to the band, making a swift revving 210 horsepower and cranking out 235 pound-feet of torque, 42% more than other Bajas.
That's pretty good numbers. I'm pretty excited to see how this gets going down the road. That 210 horsepower, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty strong. I'm excited about this one now.
A standard 5-speed manual transmission really tests the turbo, but we still felt its punch in our car's optional 4-speed automatic with manual shift mode. The variable torque distribution all-wheel drive system is also borrowed from the WRX series and splits torque 45% front, 55% rear to enhance the performance driving feel. On the track, no wheel spin starts produce 0 to 60 runs of only 7.5 seconds, a near 3 seconds faster than a non-turbo Baja. The quarter mile was also enhanced to 15.9 seconds at 89 miles per hour, a near 2-second improvement.
That thing's scooting along, isn't it? That's again, I'm not willing to trade my dream of owning a Lotus in for a Baja, but those numbers are not embarrassing. That's pretty cool.
Relying on its power-assisted 4-wheel disc 4-channel ABS brakes, the Baja stops from 60 to 0 in a reasonable 133 feet. Results are steady, feel is good. Despite the added ground clearance, ride and handling are familiar to our long-term Baja. At first, the turbo pushes hard into corners, but then the rear can break loose and come around pretty quickly if you're not paying attention. Also a familiar sight is Baja's do-it-all body image.
Oh, okay, before they go on about the body here, let's talk about those results a little bit. You know, the nice thing about having all-wheel drive, and I like that they're referencing taking technology from the WRX and kind of applying it here. You know, all-wheel drive is going to prevent you from having these four-wheel burnouts. You might actually lengthen your acceleration times a little bit, but it provides certainty, it provides security. And in a car, I would have wondered if the rear end was a little light. All-wheel drive kind of tamed everything down through the slalom. It looked pretty good, because when they said this is over an inch higher, I was afraid they were going to say it felt like it was up on its tippy toes the whole time, but Subaru managed to make it feel like it was planted. Stopping distance is a little long. You know, I've done a lot of these videos, and that 133 feet, I think they said, that's one of the longer ones I've seen when it wasn't a much older car. That's a little unimpressive, actually. Not dangerously so, but in a world where 115 or even 120 is okay, this is 15 feet past that. Not terribly impressive overall, but it's not a sports car, but it's controlled. And regarding that braking, no drama, right? I like that. There's no pulling. Of course, there's no tires locking up or anything. Just a smooth, steady stop. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Still don't think it's functional, but I'm impressed.
The light-duty truck meets sedan gains subtle changes, and aside from the turbo's propped-up ride height, Subaru didn't try to fix what wasn't broke. However, Subaru did throw in a few uniquely identifiable cues, including a functional hood scoop, red outline Baja badging, a short roof antenna, and 6-spoke 16-inch alloy wheels. Inside the cabin, sporty looks and perks prevail. Standard Baja Turbo amenities include 6-way power driver's seat, air conditioning, AM/FM audio with in-dash CD changer, power locks, windows, and sunroof. The 2-person rear cabin is more than versatile. Flip and fold the seat to reveal Subaru's switchback system, a pass-through door that extends the entire cargo bay inside. The short and somewhat narrow opening is good for carting long items. Add a tailgate extender and the total load floor length is over 90 inches. Taking it...
That was interesting. Wow, they are flying through this one. First off, never seen her before in a Motor Week. Let's work from the back forward. So 90 inches is 7.5 feet, something like that. Bigger than I would think, right? 7, 8, yeah, let's say 7.5 feet. So 4x8 sheet of plywood, it's, well, it's almost there. You put a little extender on it, it'll be okay. So that's longer than I expected. I love the pass-through. I love the fact that the rear seats, they're not trying to squeeze 3 people in there. They've got that little center thing in the middle with a little storage area right there. Up front, I like the dash. It looked clean. It looked simple. Not a lot of bright, not trying to be fancy, not a lot of chrome. It did in the radio HVAC area. Man, it kind of struck me as a little bit Mitsubishi-ish, right? I don't know. It didn't quite work for me. I think their attempt at styling made it look a little cheaper to me, honestly. And the center armrest, it looks like it is too low and too far back to do anything other than flip it up and throw some CDs in it at the time. But the rest of the dashboard looked clean and functional, just stylish enough. Very competitive contemporarily, not outstanding, doesn't wow me, doesn't blow me away, but nice and clean and functional. And honestly, I think those are the kind of words that I would use to just describe Subaru overall. So nothing overly offensive, just nothing that really gets me excited.
In the miles, EPA predicts that the Baja Turbo will deliver 18 miles per gallon in the city and 23 on the highway, while 20 was our result from mixed driving.
No, that's not great. It's all right, but that's not great.
But added performance does have its price. We estimate that the base sticker for the well-equipped Baja Turbo will be $26,500, or about $2,000 more than its nearest normally aspirated kin.
Okay, so perspective. Now, granted, I would have to take that $26,000 and update it over 20 years to today's prices, but I don't know what that would be. I haven't looked that up, but basically this is more expensive than a Maverick. That's what it boils down to. Probably, I'm going to guess, educated guess, little competitive with what is now the Hyundai Santa Cruz.
And you can buy a real compact crew cab pickup for that. But it wouldn't have either the performance or the cute brute factor of the 2004 Subaru Baja Turbo. So we say hats off to Subaru for adding more muscle to the Baja and more fun for weekend warriors of all kinds. Whether you're a mild-mannered dirt road diehard or a decorating do-it-yourselfer headed to the depot, the Baja Turbo gets you there with a kick.
Okay, so overall, I've got 2 huge thoughts. First is kind of impressive. The styling is okay. It's handsome enough, right? The interior looks comfortable and handsome enough, clean and functional. The performance was good. I imagine that a test of the standard engine Baja is dirt slow, but overall kind of impressive in all of those metrics. But then you get into the value proposition. You can buy a crew cab pickup truck, they said, for that. So if you need true pickup, why would you buy this? It's a little pricey. The gas mileage is not good. I'm sure it's better than that crew cab pickup truck, but the gas mileage is not that impressive. 20-year-old technology, squeezing power out of a 2.5 liter. It's not great. It's not horrible, but it's not great. And overall, who is this for? I don't remember how many years the Baja was sold. I do know that it was not a good seller, and it just kind of, in my opinion, just kind of faded away. Because who the heck is going to buy this? Even like the Santa Cruz, they started with a sport utility and made it more truckish, looking for people who have an active lifestyle. And while they've got to drive their vehicle to their office job, on the weekends they're out hiking or mountain biking or whatever it happens to be. I think that's who this appeals to. But you could do that with an Outback, right? The Baja, you get an uncovered bed. I guess if you need to once in a while pick up some mulch, it's there, but basically you are getting all the drawbacks of a truck and none of the benefits of what Subaru's Outback really offered. All for a high price and all with the power that I think that probably made it very competitive, but it was the 80s, 90s GM approach of just like, well, the base engine's slow because just fundamentally the car is slow and heavy, and whatever the reason happens to be, let's slap a turbo on it or let's do a supercharger or a bigger engine just to get the power. And it I don't know, functionally I just don't know that this is a great car in its bones. I think it's cool as heck, don't get me wrong. And after watching this, I would like more to have one and be able to tootle around in it and see how it functions on a day-to-day basis. But I use my trunk all the time. So imagine I've got to go to the grocery store and pick up the groceries. Now I've got to throw it in the bed, or I've got to throw it in the back seat. And if you put a tonneau cover over it, well, now you've got half or less of the capacity as if you just had the station wagon. Cool video, cool car. Don't see why anybody would ever buy it because it functionally doesn't do what it should do for people on a day-by-day basis. And you know what? If you ever owned one and you loved it and I'm missing the point of it, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, pretty neat trip down memory lane. I appreciate you being here. See you on the next one, guys.